Do you believe in society's lies? Do you believe in the lies of society? Hillary's infected the membrane of the catastrophe of the conformity of society.
I mean, most schooling is just training for stupidity and conformity. There are plenty of people who don't want students to think. They're afraid of the crisis of democracy. You know, people start thinking and you get all these problems where they won't have humility enough to submit to a civil rule, you know, or they'll start trying to press their demands in the political arena, or they'll, you know, have ideas of their own instead of believing what they're told. Privilege and power typically doesn't want that. And a high school teacher who tries to get students to think may find repression, firing, and so on. The educational system is supposed to train people to be obedient, conformist, not think too much, do what you're told, stay passive, don't cause any crises of democracy, don't raise any questions, and so on. It's a system of indoctrination of the young. You know, the 60s are now described in the literature as if it was a time when students were running around and burning libraries and, you know, destroying the foundations of civilization and so on. What was actually going on is they were asking questions. They were raising questions. They were looking into things that people hadn't looked into before. They were not just obedient.
Power is always in the hands of the governed, those who are being ruled. Power is always in their hands. So how come they just don't overthrow the rulers and take things for themselves? Well, the secret, he says, always, every society is control of opinion and attitudes. If you can convince people, if the powerful can convince people, you have to stay in your slot. That's where you belong. You know, that's your role in life. There's nothing to be changed. Then the rulers can control them. And you take a look at the history of revolutions, significant changes. It's when people broke out of that. It's quite striking that there are industries devoted to controlling attitudes and opinions. It's called the public relations industry. The industry developed in the freest countries in the world, getting harder to control people by force. They're getting too many rights. They want to undermine democracy by creating uninformed voters who will make irrational choices. So we have this huge industry spending hundreds of billions of dollars a year dedicated to undermining markets and democracy, and nobody says it. We have to keep the mass of the population uninformed, marginalized, so that we, you know, the responsible men, can run things.
Advertising, all of us are confronted with it every single day of our lives. Most of the ideas behind this medium, it takes place at a level of understanding that's very subconscious, so it's something that we accept it without even having to analyze it.
You a corporate hand puppet. Start thinking for yourself. Numb from the medication, education, etiquette. Force feed people you colonize through settlements. Then they try and wonder what their life's been missing. The older you get, the more you buy into the system.
What was actually going on is they were asking questions. They were raising questions. They were looking into things that people hadn't looked into before. They were not just obedient.